We're so happy to see all of you here. I took a glimpse of the registration list and I saw names of good friends, old friends, and saw names of people that we just met this year. And I thought, wow, this is so great. And it's been just really lovely visiting with everyone as you've come in. So I'm Teresa Harlan. I'm with the Alliance for Felix Cove. And we're going to have this really beautiful night of sharing story, and many of you here are part of our storytelling process. I also want to acknowledge Alliance for Felix Cove folks. Tashina is walking around, beautiful Tashina. Kim Tesero, back there in the room, back there. Canelo, oh, right back there. Ken, well, you all know him as Tiger. Tiger, Chief Huckleberry. Amate Perez, Strawberry Sister from our leadership circle. And yeah, we're just excited to share this Voices of Tamal-liwa. Some of you were here a few years ago when we had our first version of Tamal-liwa, and now it's gone digital, and with videos and with the partnerships of Dominican University of California, Jack Mason Museum, Dance Palace, Coast Miwok Tribal Council of Marin, Hukuiko, and you know, Dewey Livingston is one of the partners. And Louis Connect is here. I saw Louis. And Amate was part of the story group. And who else am I missing? We had lots of partners. And I have them written down too. But anyway, I just want to get us started. We're going to start with a beautiful opening with Alyssa Simmons, who's also part of the story map. And Alyssa. Do you want me to hold this for you?
That would be great. Okay. Opuntoish. Hi, everyone. I'm Alyssa Simmons. I'm going to open tonight with a traditional Coast Miwok blessing song. Hi-ya-yo, way-ya, way-ya. 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 Hi-ya-yo, way-ya, way-ya.
Walikamolish. So forgive me, relatives. It's so good to see you. And thank you, Alyssa, for that beautiful song. It's just amazing to be in partnership with the folks from Coast Miwok Tribal Council of Marin, Hukuiko, with Sky and John and Joe, wherever you are. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so, open toish. Thank you for reminding me. I'm still in the learning process. So tonight our panel discussion is going to be facilitated by Tashina. Parker, who's our Cultural Pathways Manager, and we had an opening and talk at the California Cultural Museum and Indian Center. I think I said that incorrectly. California Indian Museum and Cultural Center last September, and Tashina did a wonderful, wonderful job facilitating.
Oh, thank you, Teresa, and thank you, Alyssa, for the beautiful song and opening. So now we're going to view the videos that were made by Joe, Teresa, and Alyssa. And these videos are part of their story here, local, and story to their family's lineage to this land. And so we'll start with the screening of those films, and then Alyssa will lead us through a story map that she built that expands on those stories, and it's also something that has flexibility to grow and have more Coast Miwok stories to share with y'all. So we'll walk through that after we view the videos, and then we'll have a short question and answer session, and would love for you to participate in that as well. So we can go ahead and start the screening.
When I was a teen, my mom would share her stories of life on Tomales Bay over board games at the kitchen table. In these quiet times, she shared about school bullies calling her and her cousins dirty Indians. She shared that after her mom died, the dairy ranchers told her older brother Victor to leave the family home. My grandma died in 1949 from tuberculosis. The ranchers said, "Now that the old lady died, we want our land back." This is the story of Uncle Vic, born in 1903 and 50 years later featured in San Francisco Bay Area newspapers as the Indian fighting for his Tomales Bay home. Uncle Vic's story tears at my heart and fires my work to get the justice he and our family were denied. When Uncle Vic was a child, he stayed at the family cove with Auntie Tia, his great aunt. Auntie Tia was blind and was the healer, the doctor for the family. I can only imagine the knowledge of plant medicines she must have taught him. Uncle Vic attended one-room schools built for the ranch kids. The grading system was normal or retarded. Absence rates would mean a grade of retarded. Authorities decided Uncle Vic needed to be taken from our family and sent to a boys' boarding school. My mom said he didn't want to go. I don't know at what age Uncle Vic came home. It's painfully ironic that he was taken as a little boy and then later as an adult, evicted from the cove like a squatter. But he didn't just walk away. He fought it. He made the ranchers evict him in court. California laws were not designed to protect our family's home or any Indigenous family's home. Elder cousins remember Uncle Vic standing at the wood-burning stove cooking tortillas. They remember his wood carvings that he gave away as gifts. One gift was a ship. Only the memory of it remains. We do have one carving left. As I walk the road to the cove, I think about how many times our family walked this road, how the earth remembers their steps. Listening to the sparrows, I imagine my mom, Uncle Vic, and our family would hear the same sparrow songs as they picked strawberries and huckleberries. I pass an old wooden fence post, and I remember my mom telling me about their cow mooing to be let back in after a day out. When I look out on the bay, I can almost hear their voices and laughter as they row their boats to shore. Imagine if Uncle Vic won the court case. my generation, the ones after me, might have known the cove as intimately as our moms, uncles, aunts, grandma, and grandpa. We would know how to live at the cove, digging for clams and fishing for perch. We would have our own photos of life on the bay. Nearly 80 years ago, Uncle Vic stepped forward as the son of Bertha Felix, grandson of Joe and Paulina Felix, great-grandson of Euphrasia and Domingo Felix, and the son of over 700 generations of Tamalco people of Tamal-liwa, to fight for his home, the home of his ancestors, the people of the coast.
It was a beautiful spring day. People started showing up at about 9 a.m., families with children, elders from different bands and tribes. I counted more than 150 altogether. When it was time for the blessing, we gathered together, rooted to the land. I closed my eyes and I saw your face. Sometimes I can't speak of the things that were done, what we suffered. Our parents didn't want us to know about it, and their parents didn't want them to know. There were good reasons to not identify as Native. We Coast Miwok are not supposed to be here. But now, as more and more people join the tribe, my circle of relatives keeps growing. When we talk together, we learn that our families were in the same place at the same time. Your story is one of the richest, Grandma. You knew how to take care of the family, and you took care of me. You took me all over San Francisco, to North Beach, to the Fox Theater. One day when I was 8 years old, we walked all the way to the Civic Center, to a meeting of the Bureau of Indian Affairs. They were taking a vote on the Rancheria Act. I had never seen so many Indians in one place, 400 people from across the state. One after another, they stood and spoke against the measure. It meant losing our sovereignty, our benefits, our land, for our tribe. After the testimonies, small pieces of paper and pencils were passed out. The announcement came that the act had passed, and all the air went out of the room. When we walked back outside, you stopped, knelt down, and looked into my eyes. You said, "Joe, don't ever forget you're a California Indian." And so I took a vow that has guided my life. Grandma, last year we brought back 26 acres of our land. The prayers we say there are directed to the Creator who gave us all we needed to survive for thousands of years, even though they tried to exterminate us. That day at the blessing I told you, there is a long way to go, but we're on our way. We're coming back. Thank you, Grandma. I love you so much.
Coast Miwok people believe the world has a living spirit. We call this Weya. We commune with it when we live in reciprocity with the land, the animals, and each other. It's a symbiotic relationship. I try to retrace my family's steps when I'm here. They thrived on this beautiful coastline for thousands of years, from Nicasio to Marshall and north to Bodega Bay. I can trace my lineage back for many generations, and I try to reflect on the challenges each of them faced. My great-great-great-great-grandmother, Tsupu, spoke 6 different languages, including those of her colonizers: Russian, Spanish, and English. Her son, my great-great-great-grandfather, Bill Smith, was marched from Bodega Bay up to Round Valley as a teenager and narrowly escaped the massacre there of the 1850s. His wife at the time was not so lucky and died on the march. He came back to Bodega Bay after his escape and started a successful fishing company with his sons that was in business until around the 1970s. I come from a family of survivors. I wouldn't be here if they had not persevered to protect and raise their families against all odds, amidst disease, unconscionable violence, poverty, and displacement. I struggle to reconcile with that history sometimes and the grief that accompanies it. What does it mean that my ancestors went through this? How do I live in a way that honors them even when I feel hurt, angry, and confused? I come back to Wea, to the sound of water and birds, the smell of salt and damp soil, the crisp feeling from a cold coastal breeze. The reminder that my ancestors prayed for me to be here, and I carry them with me in my DNA. It's an awareness that I have a sacred responsibility to go back to each generation and bring forward the bits of knowledge that they left for me, even if I don't fully understand them yet.
Testing, got it. Okay. I think we're gonna walk through the story maps. So, yeah. Where's the switch? Okay, thank you. So the videos that you just saw, the short videos, were produced with Story Center and also filmed by Haley Rains and Alyssa Simmons. And they're, along with the stories that were in the videos, there was also a story map created. And as part of the exhibition, the story maps are on view in the lobby as well. And at this moment right now, we'll just do a casual walkthrough so you can see what some of the content is there. And Alyssa was the designer of that, so we'll ask her to come up here and sort of walk us through it.
Hi again. Yeah, so this story map project was really fun to work on. I got to see a lot of family photos from my relatives and write a little bit about us. Can you scroll down a little, please? Yeah, so each of us has a little feature This was a fun thing I found. There's a picture of me taken out there, and I found an old photo of Tomales Bay that lined up pretty well. Not taken in the same spot, but might as well be. Okay, keep going. And the actual story map bit, there's a couple of things you can click on. So Smith Brothers Road up in Bodega Bay was named after some relatives of mine, the 6 Smith brothers that created the industrial fishing industry up there. Okay. And then we also have some other clips from where Felix Cove is. The Marshall Cemetery, where a lot of our family members are, and then also Echatamal, which is our newly reacquired land in Nicasio. Thank you. And you guys can all access these outside on the iPads as well, but we had contributions from Teresa. All the videos are embedded in the story map. And then there were also 2 features, if you could stop there, from other Coast Miwok relatives who did not make videos but still contributed. So Dean Hoagland is on the Coast Miwok Tribal Council of Marin, and he's a cultural bearer, and I also had some photos of his family that got to be included. You can scroll down a little. Yeah. All right. And if you go through these again on the iPads, you can click on each of them, and they have a little bit about who's in the photo and everything. We have Joe's story and his video. Some great family photos. That was one thing that definitely stood out to me about this project, was how well preserved all of our family photos are. And they're all extremely fashionable. And then my Aunt Sharon, who's actually here tonight, also contributed. Pretty much all of the family photos that I have, I scanned from her. So she's a big person to thank here. And then this last photo is actually an image that I took. So my great-great-grandfather, Angelo, a lot of the Smith brothers built fishing cabins along the coast. That's why the road is named after them, because they all built their houses there. And there was a reconstruction done on the home that he built in 2023, I believe. So I went and took a picture of it, and that's that photo. And that's me. And then this last part of the story map, if you keep going down, is actually, there are my family photos too. Again, they're so fashionable. Yeah, this last photo, this was also in the video that I made, but I found this in a clipping that documented the Round Valley Massacre in the 1850s, and the caption in that photo was "Protecting the Settlers." yeah, and then this last part was written by Teresa, and it's an overview of her story in preserving her family's legacy in Felix Cove. So yeah, please read these and check them out on the iPads out there. There might be a QR code also where you can access the link to view these just on any website. So thank you. Where's Tisha?
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'd like to invite all of our storytellers to the stage. And we're going to talk a little bit about the creation of the stories and have a few minutes at the end for any audience questions as well. Ooh, I'm going to go here since I have a mic. Yeah, sit wherever you want. All right, well, thank you everyone for being here tonight, and I hope you enjoyed the short videos that each of our storytellers created and the story map. The story map is something that if y'all are interested in utilizing for your own family stories or stories, like we can give you the resources for that. It's really a really fun tool. And tonight we have with us Alyssa Simmons, Ometeco Band of Coast Miwok Tribe, Councilwoman, Coast Miwok Tribal Council of Marin, a multi-talented independent artist who offers her production, videography, and photography expertise for organizations such as the Museum of the American Indian and Hukuiko Incorporated, a tribal organization formed by the Coast Miwok Tribal Council of Marin. So thank you for being here tonight, Alyssa.
Thank you.
We might need to test our mics. And then also to my left, we have Joe Sanchez, elder of the Coast Miwok Tribal Council of Marin of Hopu. Did I say that right? Hopu? Rancho Nicasio, a lineal descendant of the Hukuiko Band of Coast Miwok of Marin County on his maternal side, and Dene people on his paternal side. He makes regular presentations on Coast Miwok history to schools and community groups throughout the county. Thanks for being here, Joe. And then, of course, we have Teresa Harlan, Jemez Pueblo, and an enrolled member of Kewab Pueblo of New Mexico. Born in San Francisco, Teresa Harlan is blessed with two families who shaped and informed her self-knowledge and awareness as an Indigenous woman. By birth, she is Jemez Pueblo, an enrolled member of Kewab Pueblo of New Mexico. Teresa is the daughter of her adopted parents of Elizabeth Campanile Harlan, and who is Tomoko Coast Miwok, and John Harlan, Euro-American. Teresa, thanks for bringing us here and for the vision with Felix Cove to enlighten us and to tell the stories of Tomoko people. And then we also have on the end, Haley Rains, enrolled member of Muskogee Creek Nation. Haley Day Rains is a photographer, filmmaker, and UC President Andrew Mellon Foundation postdoctoral fellow in the Department of Film and Digital Media at UC Santa Cruz. She earned her BA from Haskell Indian Nations University and her MA and PhD in Native American Studies from the University of California, Davis. Haley taught film and digital media and Native American Studies at UC Davis. Thank you, Haley, for being here today.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Yeah, so I think we'll just do a short round robin of questions, and since we got a little bit of a late start, then we'll open it up to y'all if you have any questions. So I'd like to start out with Joe. Joe, you talked a lot in your film about your grandmother and your memories of her. She told you never to forget that you are Indian. How do you embody her advice in your life way as a contemporary Indigenous person in 2025?
Is this on? My grandmother meant the world to me. She was a wonderful woman who cherished her family. She was the person that held us all together. My family is a tight-knit group who maintain communication, close communication to this day, although she has passed now, which was very sad for me. My mother taught me so much. She really wanted to give me a great idea, understanding of where I'm from, who I am, who our people are. We were a close family, like I said, and she was the glue. We had our family reunions right here in Tomales Bay. We had 2 homes in Marconi, which was a perfect place for us to celebrate our family heritage. And she was just so warm and approachable. Like, she took all of my cousins at different times, but she shared it with everyone. My grandfather, I should say, worked at the Fox Theater in San Francisco. I don't know if any of you remember that or know of that, but I urge you to look it up. The place was incredibly beautiful, absolutely beautiful, the finest theater this side of the Mississippi. And since he was the head custodian there, made sure everything was neat and orderly, we got to go there for free. So those were the kinds of experiences that she took me to. Playland at the beach. She would take me to Golden Gloves boxing, the different movies and things. She was just so wonderful. I remember being a child thinking, boy, she's got to live forever. Mm-hmm. She's got to live forever. We have to be close. I have to have my grandmother close to me forever. It was just that kind of a feeling that I had for her, and I'll never forget. But when we went to that BIA meeting, there were about 400 Indians there. I hadn't seen that many in one place. But everybody who spoke at that was definitely against this situation, what they were presenting. And I remember the last person was an Indian from Stanford University, and he was very, very great in what he had to say. It stuck with me. I just remember there's no way this measure can be taken seriously. Yet, when they handed out little teeny pieces of white paper and pencils, I knew something was wrong. You don't vote with a pencil, even though I was like 10 years old. You don't vote with a pencil. Mm. So when they came out and announced that the measure had passed, I was like, what? Like I said, the air went out of the room. It was like, we've been here before. This has been done to us before. This is nothing new. This is what happens when you're an Indian in California. According to Ken Burns, who's the great documentarian, when he did his documentary on the West, he had a time to talk about what he had done. And one of the things he said was the worst genocide occurred in California. Now, I didn't even know that. But when he said that, it hit home. Because I remember lots of other things that weren't right. The way our land was taken. General Vallejo promised us 80,000 acres. But what happened to those 80,000 acres? It was divided up amongst members of his family. Mm. So, we lived with that. We had to live with that treatment. But now, things have changed. It's different now. And you are part of that reason it's changed. Because you're here. You're here to listen, to learn, to understand. And I salute you. I am so happy that you are here. It's a wonderful thing. It's something that we never had. We were always ignored. But we're not anymore. We're back. We got 26 acres of our own land back. It was our land to begin with. But now we have those 26 acres, and we're taking advantage of that. Planting Native plants, taking care of the stream that runs through our property. And it just means so much when I see people who come to our land and they're in wonderment. They're just like, wow, what an accomplishment. We have land. They're relating to the land as well. So this is just a wonderful thing that's happening, and I want you to know that you're part of it. You're the ones making the difference now. And I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Haley, your photos are featured in this exhibit, and they're on view in the lobby. So if you didn't have a chance to see them, please walk through after our talk session here. Haley, can you share a little bit about your photographic approach, your artistic approach, and how you want contemporary Indigenous people to be seen today?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think the most important thing when it comes to photographing Native American people and their representation is that they need to decide, right? And I think that is a really cool part of this project, is that we worked with each other for almost a year before we actually even produced any images or film. And that was really important because I had to get to know everyone that is a part of this, and I had to understand them and their perspectives, their connection to this place. I'm from Montana. I'm not from around these parts, right? So I have a different relationship to this place than they do. So I think it was very important for me to understand just how meaningful this project was to them. And so then that informed my approach to a lot of the creative work that we made. A big part of it is through those images conveying that special relationship that they have to the land, also providing an opportunity for them to advance their own narrative, right? I think that the image, Alyssa, that you included about protecting the settlers is just very poignant, because I think that that's the sort of narrative that we're used to seeing. And so that's why projects like these are so important. It's an opportunity for us to talk back to that, right? And it doesn't mean that we have to deconstruct that history completely, but I think what we're trying to do, certainly through this project and through any images or stories that Indigenous people are creating, we're trying to expand that narrative, right? We're trying to make it more inclusive. And I would argue that's to everyone's benefit. So many of the principles and values that you've heard these folks talk about and that are in our projects are things that can help everyone, right? How to live on the land, how to take care of each other, how to live sustainably, right? How to live in community. Those are all things that, from a sort of Western colonial perspective, can be kind of antithetical to what we're trying to do here. And so, again, I think representation and photography and film are really a wonderful and engaging and exciting way to do that. And so it's very much a pleasure and an honor for me to be a part of this project and to work with you guys. Yeah.
Thank you, Haley. We also have another filmmaker on the panel, Alyssa Simmons, and I've had the pleasure to work with Alyssa on some of the cultural projects that I'm doing in my tribal community, and it's been really powerful to be alongside Alyssa as we're supporting each other in our Indigenous communities and telling our stories. So, Alyssa, in the process of making your short film, what do you feel is the most important, impactful part of this process for you?
For me personally, it was a big deal to turn the camera around on myself, because I'm used to producing, I'm used to being behind the camera and telling other people's stories. And when I first came onto the project, it was in a supportive capacity to my elder, Joe, and then Teresa really encouraged me to tell my own story, and that was very nerve-wracking, especially because, I don't know, they both have such rich stories to tell, and I felt like I'm still young, I'm still figuring, I didn't really know what my story would be. I didn't know what that narrative was that I was trying to tell, and I think working through some of that anxiety that I had about being public facing, about my family story, and just being vulnerable was a really healing process to go through, and to also experience in a safe container with other Indigenous people to sort of work through those feelings that were coming up. Yeah, the whole process was really moving for me, and yeah.
Thank you, Alyssa. Yeah, your film is really moving in a really beautiful, the scenery and the pace of it, you can feel that in it, and I really appreciate about that about your film. Teresa, so a lot of your fans here in the crowd and local supporters, and I think a lot of people here know a good amount about Felix Cove and maybe have listened to the podcast produced by Emergence Magazine. And if you haven't, it's a must listen. Definitely go find it if you haven't listened yet. Teresa, so in telling your family's story and with working with the film, what do you want the local community to know about Felix Cove?
I mean, it's a basic question, but it's a hard question. And so thank you for asking it. That it can be something different than what it is now. When you kayak to it or walk down that trail, or, you know, in a boat, you know, you're going past that bay or the cove, it could be so much more, and we could experience it in such a different way. We wouldn't have to look so hard to find all the beautiful beings that live there, the plants, the animals, that we would be able to experience that beauty, that, you know, I know that's there, that the way that it was meant to be left to us by the ancestors. That's what I want everyone in this room to dream of and to want to see happen. And together, like Joe was saying, our collective forces, our collective energies can make that happen. You know, no matter what bureaucracy, governmental agency, we can make that happen. So that's what I will hope for the Cove, for people to know about the Cove.
Yeah, a very special place. If you haven't visited yet, please do. And we have a lot of exciting opportunities for people to get involved and learn more about Teresa's family story and Felix Cove and Tamalco people. So we started a little bit late, so I'm gonna open up the question, Q&A to the audience here, and this is a conversation. So, you know, anyone that feels like they have a comment or a question that they'd like to ask, we have 2 microphones at both sides, and Apollo, are they able to step to the microphone and ask a question? They're on, yeah. Is there anyone in the audience that wants to, feels brave, please? That might work better, I guess. So, yeah, it's hard getting in and out of your chair.
Thank you very much for making this happen. I have 3 questions. First question is, how many people were murdered at Round Valley? The second question is, Uncle Vic was sent off to a boys' school. Were there so-called Indian schools happening in California? And my third question is, what is the relationship of the Tamalco people with the ocean?
Yeah, great questions.
Yeah, that first question, I'm not sure in its entirety, you know, when we're talking about numbers, from the specific massacre that happened in the 1850s, where my great-great-great-grandfather was at, there was just over 400 men, women, and children. And I don't think that included those who died who were force marched there in the first place?
So it's been cited in by Hurtado and also by can't think of his name now. That just his book that came out a couple of years ago. A few other historians, and that there was an estimate of California indigenous populations to be over 1 million, if not 5 or so million. But by the time that this land was passed from the Mexican government to the American government, it was down to like 20,000. It was just absolute genocide. When California became a state, one of the first things the new legislature did was to pass the act for the protection, I'm going to mess up the title, but for the Protection of Indians Act. What it did is it allowed vineyard owners, ranch owners, anyone, to take a child and indenture them. It started in the Mexican government with the encomienda system, and then they would keep that child into their, for males it was something like 24, and for females it was like 18. And then they amended the law to withdraw parental permission. But I think it's safe to presume there never really was parental permission in the first place. So I think that that has this legacy on I can say for our own family, our grandmas were tough, and they weren't there wasn't the mothering necessarily because they worked, and so it was like food, clothes, it's the essentials. And so your question about Uncle Vic, yes, there were Indian boarding schools here in California. Sherman and Riverside and
The only ones I think of are Southern California.
yeah. But for Uncle Vic, he likely went to a boys' school, either in San Francisco or San Rafael, something like Hannah Boys Center, yeah.
My story is not in the story map, but I have an adjacent story to the people sitting here, the relatives here. My grandmother is Kashaya Pomo, and she was born up the road from here. And she was orphaned at a young age and sent to Stewart Indian School, which is in Nevada, not in California. But she was relocated, her and her siblings were really relocated from just up north. Kashaya is between here, it's on the coast, but they were shipped out of state. And so I know in Southern California, there was a couple big schools down there, and there might have been a couple of smaller schools too. That's a really great question though, and it's prompting me to want to investigate so I have like more solid answer. But a lot of us we're descendants of people who were sent to boarding schools, whether in California or out of California.
And I'll let other folks share about your question about our relationship to the ocean. When we've had our first Tule canoe launch at Felix Cove, we had a friends and family gathering, and then we launched it at McNair Park in San Rafael, and we had Hawaiian relatives come and play music and sing songs for us. And I learned from them that, where they really think of the ocean as our mother. And those waters are healing, and Tomales Bay also has that healing energy, but you have to be, really respectful of it. And I always say that she gives life and she takes life. So, but I always think of the ocean as our mother.
Teresa, you also have a really good story about growing up and having a kind of reverence for the water and even a fear to some extent, right? Which is understandable, right? So I think it's interesting too, because I think that story is also kind of embedded within this larger story, which is obviously like reclamation of your culture, but also kind of like an overcoming of that kind of fear, that reverence that you had. And so there's a sort of balance with this water of fear and respect. And I think that that's a huge part of this as well.
Yeah, elder cousins, when I tell them, we're gonna go out kayaking, they're like, be really careful, you know, you've lost family out there, and I know people in community, everyone's lost, you know, it's not a unique experience. But, yeah, so thank you for your questions.
We have another question.
Good evening. Thank you for this wonderful presentation. I just have a kind of a random question. With Point Reyes National Park going through a period right now of people wanting to unify the land in different ways, one being rewilding, is it possible that a huge portion of this area can be restored to your homeland?
Yeah, I think it is. It's very possible, and that's what we work every day to do. Yeah, we want the park to take a risk and let us have the 15 acres to take care of and to bring Indigenous ecological stewards to help us bring back that beauty of the land. Right now, there's a lot of discussion going on what the future of the park is going to be. We know that Nature Conservancy has a big hand in it, but you know, there isn't a lot of transparency about what's happening at the land, and that's thank you for that question. You know, we submitted a vision plan to the park by invitation of Superintendent Craig Kinkle, who since has retired. And you know, we didn't really publicize it because we thought, oh, we're close. We're so close to getting a cooperative agreement. We didn't want to rock the boat. Well, you know, we ended up with nothing. You know, we ended up being at square one. And so now with all this envisioning of what the park can be, we have released our vision plan on our website. And we actually have a place where you can endorse, you can sign support of our vision plan on our website. And if you want to do it here and tonight, Kim and Canelo are back there to take your name, and they will, you know, list it. And our good ally, Steve Costa, who I think is here. I thought I saw you, Steve. Yeah, Steve. Steve is, you know, had a dream last night and said, hey, let's try to get 1,000 names by the end of the year to support the vision plan, to support it. And I thought, wow, that's like minds think alike. And so, yeah, what would happen? You know, we have nothing to lose. And so we would love for you to sign a support for our vision plan, which basically is we would hire a facilitator to hold community meetings for stakeholders, not just me, but local residents, park employees, Indigenous stewards, environmental advocacy groups, and really talk about what could happen at Felix Cove. That's all we're asking for is Felix Cove. We're not asking for all, 70,000 acres of the park. We just want 15 acres to take care of and to bring money to bring jobs to, because that takes a lot of work. And so our plan is that we would do a lot of planning with community input and create a plan before we would do anything. Nothing would be done in haste. It'd be very intentional. But we need the National Park Service to sign a cooperative agreement with us. We need Grayton Rancheria to endorse it. And we have nothing. So like this big storm, I thought, oh, I hope a tree hasn't fallen. It's surrounded by eucalyptus, trees that have grown since our family left. So every winter I'm afraid that a tree is going to fall on the house. And it's the last remaining house built by Coast Miwok hands. It's irreplaceable. So why doesn't it get treated like this important and significant historical site that it is? That you know, that I know, and that we want to ensure and protect for future generations. So thank you for your question.
Yeah, and if you want to support, please be one of the 1,000 people to sign that support letter tonight. Okay, I think we have time for one more question, and then we'll wrap up, and people can have a chance to just casually talk with each other and snack. So,
thank you. Hi, thank you so much for all of this. And this is just a follow-up to what you were saying, Teresa. I'm just curious, like, what are the forces that you are up against? It seems so obvious that 15 acres to what you're all doing and how intentional it is should kind of be a no-brainer. Like, I'm just curious, what are some of the things at play making it, like, that need to be overcome to see your vision?
I think for a National Park Service to take a risk, for them it's a risk because of the relationship and the memorandum of agreement that they have with Grayton Rancheria. It's a very powerful tribe. So, it's the politics. Politics and power make everything muddy and difficult. What should be easy. And also, bringing justice. That's that open wound, is the injustice. I told the superintendent one time when we had a request for a permit was denied. I was like, everyone else can live there, but us. Everyone else can access, but us. We always have these hurdles to cross, but it's no different from what Joe was saying, from the generations, that have passed. One of my elder uncles or cousins, when it gets hard, I call him up, and one time I was saying, sharing the hardship, and he said, the system works, just not for us. So I want to prove my cousin Dave wrong. That's what I want to do. And I want to do it in his lifetime. The last baby that was born at that house passed. And so, and I've been up front with the park, like, what are you waiting for? I'm in my 60s. My elder cousins are in their 80s and 90s. What are you waiting for us to, not be around, and then no one's going to be, asking for this? So, what we've been doing is, our goal was to create an Indigenous healing center that everyone could experience. All of you could experience. All of you could take your children. Lucio over there could take his children down there. And so what we've been doing is we've been creating tule canoes. We finished our 4th year of tule canoes. Lucio learned to build a toy tule canoe and then had the wherewithal to teach other children to make toy tule canoes. That's our dream. Having Alyssa here tell her story and having you say you weren't sure how you fit, that you're our dream. You're where we place our hope and our vision of how, we continue and create a place. And so I'm just going to share that our funding has become a little unstable. Our funder who funded our Tule Canoe program lost their funding, so now we lost our funding. So the other thing too is many of you gave us money to build our very first Tule Canoe. And many of you come to our events, come to the Tule Canoe builds, come to the basket classes. And also lend your expertise and knowledge of the Bay. The Whitneys have been just incredible friends to us and sharing with us. So what we're looking for is to replace that $25,000 that we lost for 2026. So, we're looking for folks who, this is West Marin. And so we're looking for folks who have friends of abundance with abundance, and host a dinner party with your 10 closest friends of abundance, and let's make that 25,000 reappear. So if anyone would love to host a party for us, let us know, raise your hand. If anyone has any leads for us, Kim and Canelo are back there ready to take your name. And like Joe said, times have changed, but they've also snapped back. They've snapped back, and it's up to us, and as you can tell from these talented people here, they are making things happen. And so Karina Gould once said that shift that you were talking about is when people noticed and people realize they can make a change, they can do things differently. And so here we go.
Oh, no, I'm raising my hand with a question.
Okay, Pam.
Come on, Pam.
Paddle up.
So I think that the stories are so impactful, and the way they've been done with photography, video, spoken word, all of it really is so powerful. I'm wondering, are there going to be more stories?
Absolutely. We are working on that. So we always have ideas. And so my mom would always tell me, Teresa, you have champagne tastes on a beer pocketbook. And we don't have funding. In fact, we lost the last bit of funding from the California Humanities Council, but then another foundation came in and made the payment for the Humanities Council so we could finish this project. So we want to hire Alyssa and keep going with the story maps, and we want to have Sky and John and Dean, and we want to have my relatives, my cousins, join in. So yes, that's the beauty of that technology, is we can add to it. But right now we're on a bud budget.
Okay. I was jumping ahead in time, and so we do have a few more minutes to take a couple more questions. Yeah, we go under here. Thank you. The spirit of generosity is in the room. All right, we have one more question over here. Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much. My heart has many questions, but I'll ask just one. Do you have connections to your root language? And if somebody wanted to learn, then how might they?
What was the question?
Do you have connections to your indigenous language? I think you said root language. And if someone wanted to learn, how would they?
I feel like that's honestly a question Sky might be able to answer the best over there. We are learning. It's my goal to be able to have conversations, because right now I know greetings, I know numbers, I know identifiers for things, but in terms of actually conversing, we're still working on that. We are very lucky. A relative of mine, one of my great-grandfather's aunts, participated in some recordings with UC Berkeley back in the 70s, and she was the last fluent speaker. So I do have quite a few recordings of her to reference. And and then we have books and things like that, but as far as the public learning, I think we're still working on some of those resources for ourselves.
Sky, do you want to add anything to that? Apollo, can we get a mic over here to Sky?
Put him on the spot.
Or maybe he's, you want to use my mic?
Sky's Coast Miwok member. Coast Miwok, Tribal Council of Marin.
Open Toish. I'm Skyrod Webb. Thank you for that question. You know, the language is important to me, and we were just at a school recently, and we were teaching the kids how to count to 10 in the numbers. And so, you know, there's, I guess there's different philosophies on how to share language and the relationship between, and so this is my personal opinion, is that if you want to like to be good citizens of Marin, or the place of Hukuwiko and the place here, you would like to learn the language of the people, right? To be good citizens here, but I can't expect that unless I offer an opportunity for you to learn it. So, you know, so it's about, you know, domestic policy. So we're working on that. So I just like to say Wali Tosh, which means wishing the great good. Mukayam Kayanyoko, on all of you, my relatives. Ho!
Oh. Okay, we have a question back here in the red plaid.
I want to thank you, Teresa, particularly for the example that you have been setting over the years for respectfully talking to the park and the Great Rancheria people, and including them in the process of hopefully getting Felix Cove rematriated. I would like to know if there's anything that we can do with our voices or our letters to push that goal forward.
Thank you. I think signing an endorsement to our vision plan is the first step. And, you know, Steve, do you want to chime in? Because this was your dream last night, and I don't want to speak for your dream.
I was suggesting that by the end of the year that we get 1,000 signatures on this vision plan, and that Teresa then would submit that to Chief Saris and to Ann Altman, the superintendent of the park, and that would show some real political force to this vision. So if we can get everybody to sort of sign on, and then maybe we, in the meantime, send an email to you all and encourage you to use your own networks and encourage your friends and neighbors to sign on to this vision as well. So, yeah, that came to the middle of the night.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
It's wonderful to have amazing advocates and allies like Steve supporting the community. And also, too, speaking of the email list, if you're not on the email list, please join that, because we can also contact you for a more robust campaign as well. So take an opportunity to get on the email list tonight. I think we can do one more question if I'm right on time. If there's anybody else. Yes.
What does liwa mean? Tamal-liwa, and what does liwa specifically mean?
Oh, Tamal-liwa or Miwok? Liwa. Well, we have Sky Road Webb right here. I mean, I know that it means Tomales Bay. That's what the ancestors called. But if you really want to know, I hand this over to Sky.
I can answer that question.
Oh, well, even better.
Tamal is Coast Miwok. It's the direction. It's west, and then Liwa is water. So, it's like the West Bay. That's my understanding.
And for your land over in Nicasio?
Echa Tamal is behind the bay, so it's inland.
Okay. Well, I want to thank all of our storytellers here for being here tonight, and for all of you for being in community with us, and for your enthusiasm and wanting to support. So we look forward to connecting with you all next year as well. We have lots of exciting programs going on. The Tule Boat Build, we launched a rematriation program in this last year, and hopefully we'll have the funding support to continue that. And then also the advocacy for Felix Cove and with the park. So please get involved in all the ways you feel inspired to. And I just want to thank everybody tonight for being cousins, relatives, community members, and also for all the work that you do in community to uplift Indigenous people throughout the Bay.
I think it's clear we've got a mission for Felix Cove. I'd just like to ask Joe, is there other things we can do to help your project in Nicasio? What can...
Well, we're very fortunate to have obtained 26 acres in Nicasio on Old Rancheria Road. It's beautiful land, beautiful land. And there's a lot we're about to do, we've done, and we're about to do even more, which is we're looking out now for the roundhouse, the arbor, and the sweat lodge. This is something we talked about during our campaign to solicit funds for the property. We want to follow through with that commitment, and we're on our way. So that's something that you can support. We feel very good about that. And there's lots of other things going on. We talked about language a little bit. We were talking about having a group once a month come in to learn the language. I'm sorry, my voice is going on me. But yeah, that's what's happening right now. And we're very happy about that. We want to come through and show everybody that we're doing it. We're working. We're happening. And I'd love for y'all to come by and see that. So, yeah.
Do you have open houses or?
We have in the past. And I know we will again in the future. Right now we're in a really rough stage, getting things growing. We've done plantings before. We're going to continue with those actually next month. We'll be doing more. We have a botanist we're working with. So things are happening for sure. And thank you for that question.
Real quick to add to that, Joe, Alyssa writes a monthly newsletter that you can sign up for the work that Coast Miwok are doing. It also has a link to our website and the place to go.
Is there any way that you could bring this program to San Francisco and see if you could get a large crowd to come?
Yeah.
I mean, would KQED get involved?
They've been involved in the past. They've written stories. Yeah, yes, and we're in contact with people who could do that.
I'm talking about the television.
Yeah, aspirations for bigger platforms for stories. So we'll pursue that.
And funds.
Yeah, donate to KQED, everybody. I'm a local donor. I can't listen anymore because it drives me insane, but I still donate monthly for all you to listen. So please. All right, you guys, we're gonna take some time to check out the show, check out the photos in the lobby, walk through the story maps. And we also have a survey. There's a QR code out on the wall, and we'd love for you to tell us your feedback about this evening, this presentation, the exhibition, the different components of it, and that would be really helpful for us when we talk with our funders. So thank you so much. Sign up on our email list. Be one of those first 1,000 people to sign the advocacy letter, and also fill out our survey and let us know your thoughts. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight.